Hi friends, welcome back to another tarot-inspired yoga class. Today's class is based on the Nine of Pentacles. I love this card so much because it's all about celebrating you, celebrating all the abundance and work and beautiful things that you've done with your life. So if you haven't seen the card itself, the Nine of Pentacles has this beautiful image of someone standing in a garden, a little smile on their face, and they're surrounded by literally the fruits of their labor. Sometimes it's grapes in a vineyard. On one of my favorite tarot decks, it has just tons of tomato plants growing everywhere. And it's just such a beautiful image of what life can be once you've been working hard to grow things in your life, whether that's plants or your career or your family or anything else that has been a goal in your life. This card is a symbol of you have made it. You've done all the hard work. Everything has grown into something beautiful and memorable. And so the lesson of this card is now is the time to enjoy it. I know that can be really difficult for some people when you've been working and hustling for years because you have such this beautiful goal in mind. But sometimes it can be hard to get out of that cycle of just being in a constant work mode. I'm sure you've seen all those articles written about burnout, and especially for millennials like myself, we're so used to constantly being in work mode that we never take the time to step back, take a look at our life objectively and say, wow, I have really come so far, right? So maybe you're thinking I don't really feel like I've done anything yet. And so for those people out there, I would say, again, step back and think about where you were a year ago, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago. Think about who you were back then, way back then when who you are now was your goal. I guarantee if you go back and think about where you started, that person would be so incredibly proud of where you have grown and who you have become. So this is a moment to get some perspective. Maybe you're not fully at your goal yet, that's okay. It's still a good moment to appreciate all the hard work you have done and will continue to do. It's okay to take a moment to rest, be thankful for everything you have, and just take a moment to drink it all in, right? It's okay to stop and smell the flowers every once in a while. So that is the Nine of Pentacles, a beautiful card. And we're gonna take that into our yoga practice. We're gonna do something a little different. We're gonna move a little slower. Today is not a vinyasa style class. That is not Nine of Pentacles energy. Today we're just moving through a gentle, maybe a little yin-inspired class, so we'll still have a flow that I'll guide you through. But our goal is not to be working hard and sweating and pushing ourselves. That is not what we're going to do today. Today we're just going to luxuriate in some of these longer hold poses, some stretching that feels nice, and just take a moment to smell the flowers of our yoga practice. So props you may like to have. I always like to have 2 blocks. Today I'm going to be using a blanket or towel, whatever you've got. And I might sprinkle in some bolster usage, but of course all of this is totally optional and up to you. I just like to throw out some options. So I'm going to start with just a little quick meditation, just a few minutes to sit together, see where we are in our brains and our bodies before we start moving. So it might feel good to perch up on a cushion if that feels good to you. Or you can sit on a chair. Or if your back is feeling a little sore today, maybe lay down on your mat. So wherever you are, go ahead and meet me there. Close your eyes. Just breathe normally. Not trying to manipulate the breath in any way just yet. Just taking a moment to slow down and notice where you are today. If you don't have a daily meditation practice, this can be really difficult to just slow down and listen to your body. But I highly suggest giving it a go today. Because when we're moving, constantly in motion, sometimes we can overlook all the feelings we have inside, and they never get addressed, and they build up. So today we're going to see them, notice them, and take a moment to acknowledge their existence. You don't have to get rid of any of those feelings. You don't have to push them away or change them into something different. Sometimes the best thing you can do is acknowledge them, let them know that they're being heard. So as your breath begins to slow, maybe start to take in deeper breaths and letting them out through the mouth with a gentle sigh. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Relax each muscle one by one, starting with the forehead, the muscles around the eyes. Let go of any tension in the jaw. Notice if you're holding any tension in the neck and just relax. Relaxing the shoulders and the arms, the hands and the fingers. The upper back, the chest, maybe you hold tension there, and just slowly start to let it go, bit by bit. Let your body know it's okay to let go. Take a moment to pay attention to the belly. Maybe you're subconsciously sucking it in. And this is your permission to let it go. Let the belly be what it is. Paying attention to your low back. Maybe the glutes as well. The thighs and the calves. And even the feet that carry us everywhere throughout our day, throughout our life. Show your feet some love and respect and let go of the tension. Remind yourself it's okay to slow down. You're not going to lose any momentum. And in fact, rest is such an important part of working hard and getting to those goals. We need that rest to recharge so we can get back into work mode tomorrow. Rest is an integral part of life. You deserve to rest. to the breath, back to the body, keeping those smooth and even breaths. Wiggle through the fingers, maybe stretch out the legs in front of you if they've been crossed. Slowly move them side to side, reach the arms up overhead for a nice stretch through the upper body. Blink open the eyes if you haven't already. And we are back, ready for our yoga practice, maybe with a little less tension. So move any props out of the way and we'll get to moving. We'll start in a tabletop position, wrists under shoulders, knees under thighs, and we'll move through a few cat and cow poses to loosen up the spine. So inhale, drop the belly, arch the back, gaze forward. Exhale, round the spine, tuck the tailbone, chin towards chest. Press the back of the heart up to the sky. Inhale, open back up, arch the back. And exhale, round, tuck it all in. Go ahead and move through a few cat and cow poses on your own, following your own natural breath. Feel free to wiggle around a little, get a little non-traditional with it, maybe moving back to child's pose, or moving forward into a back bend if that feels good for you. Any little micro movements that might add some value to your cat and cows. Moving through the spine. Nice and slow. No need to rush. One more time in both directions. Inhale, open it up. Gaze forward. And exhale, round the spine. Beautiful. From here, meet me at a neutral tabletop. And we'll move through our hips a little bit. So, lift the left knee out to the side, kind of like a dog peeing on a fire hydrant. And we're just going to circle in one direction through the hip socket. So the knee is bent on the left side. Everything else stays in tabletop position. And we're just circling in one direction, lubricating up that hip socket. Go ahead and switch directions, move the other way. One way is usually easier than the other one, that's okay. Just trying to warm up those hips, let them know they're going to move a little bit. And back to tabletop. From here, we're going to, again, moving on the left side, swing the left knee back and around. Cross the left knee behind the right, and we're just going to sit the hips back as far as you'd like for kind of a cross-legged child's pose. So bow the head down, reach the hands forward, and just sit the hips back as far as they will go. Hips don't need to sit all the way back. Just feeling a nice stretch through the outer hip here. Don't forget to breathe. Inhale, lift back up. And swing the knee up and forward, meeting back in tabletop. Beautiful. Let's go to the other side. So, lifting the left knee out to the side, puppy peeing on a fire hydrant. And we'll just circle the knee one direction. Moving as fast or as slow as you'd like. Totally up to you here on the pace. Just trying to lubricate that hip socket a little bit. Get it used to moving. Go ahead and switch directions the other way. My instinct is always to go forward first and back the second time. I don't know if that's the same for everyone else. And meet me back in tabletop. We'll swing the right knee back and around, cross the right knee behind the left, and sit the hips back in a cross-legged child's pose. Again, only go as far as feels good to you. We're looking for a stretch in the outer hip here. Bow the head down. And just focus on the breath. Reach the hands out in front of you, planted on the mat. One more breath. Inhale. Exhale, lift back up. Unwind the legs and back to tabletop. Now, you stay where you are. I'm going to move towards you so you can see what I'm doing. From our tabletop position, we're going to take the left leg and lengthen it out to the side. Plant the sole of the left foot on the mat. And just using your hands, press up to stand for gate pose. So left leg is out straight. Right hip is stacked right on top of the right knee. From here, left hand on the thigh. Reach the right arm up. Getting super long with the right side. And then slowly reach over towards the left. Getting a nice stretch through the right side body here. And gently breathe. You can gaze up towards the right hand or keep the gaze neutral if that feels better for your neck. Open the chest up and reach over towards the left. One more breath. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, reach. Beautiful. Reach both arms up. Leaning towards the right, just draw the left knee in, and we'll move straight to the other side. So, send the right foot out long, plant the sole of the right foot on the mat, left hip is stacked on top of the left knee. Right hand on the right thigh, inhale the left arm up and overhead, gather some length through the left side, reach up towards the ceiling, and exhale, slowly just bow over to the right side, getting a nice side stretch on the left. With each inhale, keeping the shoulders nice and open, and on the exhale, reaching with the left hand over towards the right in our beautiful gate pose. Remember, today's class is not about pushing us to our limits. We're noticing, paying attention to what feels good in our body today. Inhale, lift both arms up, lean towards the left, and draw the right knee in. Lower the hands. Beautiful. Back to typical tabletop position. Extend the right foot back behind you, tuck the right toes, and just gently bounce back on the right foot. Get a nice little calf stretch. We're moving towards downward facing dog, but sometimes it can feel good to just take a moment and stretch out through the back of the calf first. Moving nice and slow. Go ahead and switch legs here. Extend the left foot back, tucking the left toes, and just gently bouncing into the left foot, stretching out through the calf. We do lots of downward facing dogs, but we don't often prepare our bodies. The back line of our legs can sometimes be stiff when we first start a class. All right, when you're ready, go ahead and tuck both toes and send the hips up and back for our first downward facing dog. Maybe pedal out through the feet. Send the hips left to right. Any little movements. to sink into your downward facing dog, our home base. Don't forget to breathe. From here, we're going to move into pigeon pose, a nice stretch for the hips. Got a couple options here. First option, inhale the right foot up and back. Exhale, draw the knee towards the nose and lower the shin down to the mat. Now, from here, if your right hip touches to the ground, perfect. If you feel like it's kind of hovering and you're feeling a little unstable, what you can do, grab your blanket, fold it up, however many times feels good. And we're just gonna place that towel or blanket right under the right hip, just to bring the floor to us. And you can feel a little more stable that way. So the left leg is extended back behind you. You can tuck the right heel in towards the body, or send it out a little further for a more intense stretch, but do whatever feels good for you. So take an inhale here. On exhale, slowly lower down onto the forearms. Bow the head over the legs. If this feels good and you want more, you can lower down the forehead onto the hands, make a little pillow for your head with the arms. Or you can even grab a bolster and place it under the head, a little more cushion there. Pigeon pose is a really great one for letting go of tension. You may have heard, but our hips hold a lot of our emotions. I definitely do. There's something about pigeon pose that can just release anything that has built up over the week. So allow this pigeon pose to just let yourself melt. If any emotions come up, think about our meditation at the beginning of class. We're just acknowledging them, letting them know that we know they're there and they are valid, whatever those emotions are. Give yourself this moment of rest to feel your emotions, acknowledge them, and then let them go. Slowly start to lift the forehead, lift up onto the forearms, and then up onto the hands. From your pigeon pose, we're going to lean into the right leg, lean over onto the right hip, and just swing the left foot up and forward for fire log pose. Move your blanket out of the way if you have it there. I'll turn towards you. Fire log pose. The left shin is stacked right on top of the right shin. This can be a really intense hip stretch for a lot of people. So if this feels like too much, maybe your knee's up here, perfectly fine. You can always grab your blanket, place it under the knee there. Or if it's still feeling like too much, you can lean back on the hands, plant the right foot, and just cross the ankle over the right knee. So any of those options are perfect. For fire log pose, if this is where we are, you can place the hand by the hips, open up the chest, see how this feels. Some people feel a super intense stretch here, and some people don't feel very much at all. So It totally depends on your specific body, what you feel here. None of those feelings are wrong. If you're wanting a little more, you can slowly start to fold forward. Place the hands in front of you and bow the head over the legs. Any of these positions, we're stretching through that outer hip. Slowly unwind the legs, stretch them out long, shake them out, and we're going to move to the other side. So, meeting in downward facing dog. Take a moment, pedal out the feet, maybe notice if there's a difference from one hip to the next. From here, inhale, left foot up and back. Exhale, knee towards nose. Lower down on the shin for pigeon pose. Again, you can grab your blanket if your hip is hovering off the ground and just place the blanket under the hip. Give yourself a little more support. You deserve it. From here, inhale where you are. Exhale, slowly lower down onto the forearms. See how that feels. Maybe this is enough for you on this side today. Maybe you want a little more. Listen to what your body is calling to you today. For a little more, you can slowly lower the forearm down onto your hands. Or if you've got a bolster handy or a blanket, you can use that as a cushion for your forehead as well. One of my very first yoga teachers told me about pigeon pose, that our hips have two different lives. So almost everyone's going to have a different sensation from the right side versus the left side. Most of us have one side that's tighter than the other. So if your left side feels a little more intense, just know that's how it feels for me too. And we're just going to feel our way through it. Let those emotions come, whatever they are. Tell them they're valid, and then let them go. Slowly start to lift the forehead, lift back up to forearms. Take a moment here. And then press up to the hands. If you've got a blanket under the hip, maybe move it out of the way. Lean over onto our left side. Swing the right foot up and forward for fire log pose with the right foot on top this time. So, turning towards you again. The right shin is stacked right on top of the left. Feel free to place a blanket under the right knee or lift up onto the left foot and just have the right ankle crossed over. Wherever you are is perfect. Place the hands alongside the hips. Inhale, open the chest. If you want a little more, you can slowly start to fold forward over the legs. Maybe reach the hands out in front of you. Looking for sensation in the outer right hip in our fire log pose. And just sit with it for a moment. Maybe this is a different sensation than on the left side. Maybe it feels easier, maybe it feels harder. Today is the day for noticing. Noticing and appreciating our body for what it is right now, for everything it's done for us. Slowly lean back, straighten the legs out in front of you, maybe shake them out a bit. Meeting back in downward facing dog, any way you get there is fine. From here, just slowly tiptoe the feet up towards your hands, all the way to the top of the mat, taking your time. Eventually meeting in a ragdoll pose at the front of your mat. You can place the hands down on the mat or grab opposite elbows, sway side to side. Feel free to keep a generous bend in both knees here. Bowing the head forward and letting the torso drape gently over the thighs. Slowly start to roll up to standing, one vertebrae at a time. Meeting in Tadasana at the front of our mat. We're going to do a little standing sequence here since we've been on the mat for a while. So, keeping the feet about hips width distance or a little closer together, we're going to do a little standing side stretch. So whatever feels super grounded in the feet. Inhale both arms up to the sky, get super long through the spine, and then lower the right hand down to your side. Hand on the thigh. Reach the left arm up and over towards the right, staying grounded in both feet here. Opening the chest up and reaching. Pressing into that left foot. Keep yourself stable. Inhale, reaching back up with both arms. Get nice and long. Lower the left hand down to the left thigh. Reach up with the right hand and slowly side bending towards the left. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, reach. Keep pressing into the mat with the right foot. Inhale, reach both arms up. Exhale, bend through both elbows, opening up through the wings, widening out through the collarbone. Maybe a slight back bend here. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, lower the hands to the sides. Great job. So from here, we're going to do a little something different to stretch out through the neck. I got this beautiful move from my teacher, mentor, Kara Edwards, from My Yoga Connection. It's a little bit of a more scientific move, but I love it. So, both hands over the heart. We're going to reach the right arm out to the side. And maybe just move it around a little bit. See what your range of motion is. Keep the chest facing forward. And we're just moving through the shoulder socket. Just noticing your range of motion here. Now find somewhere comfortable in the middle. Reaching out to the side. From here, slowly lower the left ear towards the left shoulder. Keeping the left shoulder relaxed. Keeping both feet planted on the ground evenly. Stretching out through the right side of the neck here. Not forcing the head down to get the maximum amount of stretch. Just letting gravity do the job for you. You can play with slowly moving the chin up towards the ceiling or down, gaze towards the shoulder, finding a different stretch in a different part of the neck. Slowly lift the head back up to center. Right hand back in towards the heart. Over to the other side. Reach the left arm out to the side. Moving through the shoulder socket, keeping the chest facing forward. And just noticing your range of motion here. If you have a shoulder injury of any kind, there might be a vast difference between the two. That's perfectly fine. Just getting to know your body, your limits, what feels good. Find somewhere in the middle, feels good. And slowly lower the right ear towards the right shoulder. Keeping the right shoulder relaxed. Letting gravity just drop the head down towards the right. Stretching out through the left side of the neck. You can play with moving the chin up, gaze towards the ceiling, and moving the chin down, gazing towards the shoulder. Just seeing the different ways we can stretch our neck depending on where our gaze falls. This can be a really interesting exploration if you've never done this before. Taking it nice and slow. Slowly lift the head back to center. Left hand towards the heart. Beautiful. Nice, lovely neck stretch. From here, widen out the feet. Super, super wide. We're going to move towards a standing wide-legged forward fold. So toes point forward, hands on the hips. Inhale, open the shoulders, slight back bend. Exhale, fold forward, hinging at the hips. Maybe you reach the ground. If not, this is a great time to grab your blocks. Bring the floor to you. Any level that feels good. And just bow the head forward. Keep a slight micro bend in both knees here. Always welcome just slight micro movements, maybe swaying side to side if that feels good. Sometimes that can just help our muscles relax that much more. So I encourage movement in our wide-legged forward fold. Maybe you bend both knees and just sink the hips down. Or one at a time, flowing left to right. And take a moment to straighten out the legs. Feel that nice, juicy hamstring stretch. Slowly lift up to halfway. Lengthen the spine forward. And we'll move towards Skandasana on the left side. So bend generously into that left knee. Sink the hips all the way down. And draw the right toes up towards the ceiling. So right leg is straight. Left knee is super bent. As you can see, I cannot sink the whole sole of my foot onto the mat. My ankle mobility just ain't there. So if that's you, don't worry. If you can sink the whole sole of the foot down to the mat, I highly encourage you do. If this feels super wobbly, another great time for blocks. Can always just sit the hips down. Don't fall like I almost did. And just give yourself more stability to sit on those blocks. You can place the hands down or on the knee if you feel stable. From here, place the left hand down on the mat and reach the right arm up and open, getting a just nice little twist over towards the right. Inhale. Exhale, lower the hands down. Slowly press back up to our wide-legged forward fold. If you like those blocks, go ahead and grab them. Place them over to the other side. I kind of like that, so I'm going to do that again. from our wide-legged forward fold, inhale, lift up halfway, lengthen the spine forward. And Skandasana on the right side, so bend deeply into the right foot. Lift the left toes up towards the ceiling. Move your blocks somewhere under your hips if you like to use them. You can place the hands down on the mat in front of you or on the right thigh if you feel super stable. And just feel the stretch through the back of the left leg. Keep the right knee open. Plant the right hand down on the mat. Inhale, left arm up and open, twisting over towards the left. Inhale. Exhale, lower the hands down. Press into the hands and lift back up to wide-legged forward fold. From here, heel toe the feet in a little bit. So the feet are just slightly wider than hips with distance, excuse me. Toes pointed out slightly, and we're gonna sit down into our yogi squat. So let the hips sink down. Another great time to place the blocks under the hips if you need a little bit of lift. Press the hands together at heart center. Use the elbows to widen out the knees, get a little bit more stretch on the inner hips. We are working our hips today, stretching them out, doing what feels good. Inhale here. Exhale, take one hand behind you and sit down on the mat. Any way you get there is fine. Move your props out of the way. And straighten the legs out long in front of you. Moving towards a seated forward fold. So if you can't quite reach your toes, another great prop to have, you can use your blanket actually. Roll it on up. And just wrap it around the outsides of the feet. And draw yourself down into a forward fold like this. If you have a strap, that might be a little bit easier. Anything that you can wrap around the ball of the foot to give yourself something to hold on to. If you can reach the feet, grab to the outsides and just slowly fold down, lengthening the spine forward and then bowing the head. Breathe here for a moment in our forward fold. Beautiful. Inhale, slowly roll up to a seat. Cross through the ankles, roll over the feet, and meet me down on the belly. Belly down on the mat. We're gonna do just a few quick back bends just to open up a little bit more. We're shooting for baby cobra here, so feet are at least as wide as the mat. Give yourself a ton of space. Hands along the lowest ribs. Plant the hands on the mat. Draw the pelvis in towards the mat. And using your back muscles, just slowly lift up. Just a tiny little micro movement. Inhale. Exhale, lower the forehead down. Wiggle out through the hips. Let it go. Let's do that again. Lift the head. Press into the hands. Press the pelvis into the mat. Tops of the toes are planted. Inhale, use the back muscles. Lift them up. Just a slight micro movement, lifting the torso. And exhale, lower back down. Wiggle out through the hips. One more time. Third time's the charm. This time you can stick with baby cobra, or if you like the higher cobra variation, you can do that as well. So keep the feet glued. Press the hands into the mat. Inhale, lift up to baby cobra or lengthen out through the arms for a higher cobra variation. Take a breath. Inhale. Exhale, slowly lower down. Place the forehead onto the hands, bend through the knees. Windshield wipe the feet. Let go of any tension in the low back. Beautiful. Lower the feet down. Now we're going to go for a prone shoulder stretch. Get my microphone out of the way here. So, straighten out the right arm onto the floor, forehead down. Plant the left hand down on the mat. From here, just slowly press into the left hand and lift up onto your side, getting a nice stretch through the front of the right shoulder. You can stay here on your side, or you can bend through the left knee and plant the sole of the left foot behind the hips for a little more intensity. So stopping anywhere along this point, any version of the shoulder stretch that feels good. Slowly coming back towards center. Lower the forehead down. And we'll do the other side. Straighten through the left hand on the mat. Press into the right hand and lift up onto your side, getting a nice stretch through the left side, left front of the shoulder. You can bend through the right knee and plant the foot behind the hips. Pressing into the right hand as much as you'd like, for as much stretch as you'd like. Slowly lower back down, back towards center, and lift up onto the forearms for Sphinx pose. So elbows underneath the shoulders here, gaze forward. From here, we're going to do a half frog with the legs. So bend through the right knee and draw it out to the side. This is another hip stretch that can either be super intense or it can feel like not very much at all. So use this moment as an exploration. See how it feels in your body. From here in our half frog, lift the right elbow up off the mat just enough so that you can draw the left arm underneath the right elbow and lower down onto the back body, drawing the right knee in towards you for a nice supine twist. So I'm on the left hip here. Opening up the arms. The right knee might be floating up off the mat. That's perfectly okay. You can just let it hang there. If it feels uncomfortable, you can grab a block or a blanket and place it underneath the right knee for more support. Inhale here. Exhale, coming back the way we came. Right arm meets the left. Moving back to Sphinx pose. And we'll go ahead and do that on the other side. Beautiful. So from our Sphinx, draw the left knee out to the side for half frog pose. If this is feeling like you're getting absolutely no stretch, another thing you can do is just slowly start to straighten the left leg. That can give you a little more intensity, but go super slow here. Just because you don't feel a super intense stretch doesn't mean it's not doing anything for your body. It's important to remember that. from our half frog, lift the left elbow and draw the right arm underneath the left, landing on your right side and opening up the left arm to a supine twist on the back. You can let the left knee draw in with you. Maybe it's floating up off the mat like mine. Perfectly fine. It can feel good to just bounce a little bit, get an extra stretch. But if you want a little bit more support, to feel a little bit more grounded, place a block or a blanket underneath the left knee is a great way to do that. Inhale here. Exhale, coming back the way we came. Left arm meets the right. Coming back to Sphinx pose. And we're going to do one more on our belly here. We're going to do what I like to call lazy mermaid. It's one of my favorite side stretches. So from our Sphinx, we're going to kink the right arm in towards the body, staying on the forearms. Lift up onto the left palm of the hand, just to press yourself up onto your side. Now you can stay here on the forearm, on the right side, or for a little bit more, you can lift up onto the palm of the right hand. Now the feet can stay together like this, or if you're wanting a little bit more stability, just plant the left foot in front of you like so. Either way works. We don't want to feel like we're falling over. From here, what makes it a lazy mermaid is we're going to break some yoga rules and we're going to let the shoulder slouch up towards the ear. I know, most of the time you're not supposed to do that in yoga. You're supposed to keep it all open up here. But for the purposes of this move, we're looking for kind of a fanning open of the right side ribs, the right side body. And to intensify that by shrugging the shoulder up towards the ear. Just feels so lovely on the right side. So let's just stay here and enjoy this for a moment. Our lazy mermaid. I like to keep my left hand planted in front of me for some more stability here. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. That is our goal today. All right, time to do the other side. So coming back the way we came, lower onto the right forearm. Lower the torso down back to Sphinx pose towards the front of the mat. We'll kink a left forearm in towards the body. Lift up onto our right hand and just press up onto our left side. Perfecto. You can stay down on the forearm for a little bit less intensity, or lift up onto the palm of the left hand. Shrug that left shoulder up towards the left ear, and start to feel that left side body open a little bit more. I like to imagine it as if the ribs are fanning out to the side. If you're feeling a little less stable, always feel free to step that right foot in front of you. That can help keep you stable, allow you to relax a little more. Otherwise, just sink into that shoulder. Feel this beautiful stretch through the left side body in our lazy mermaid. Beautiful. Coming back the way we came, lower onto the left forearm, lower down to the belly, back to our Sphinx pose. One more inhale here. On the exhale, just lift up onto the knees, and then onto the hands. Maybe a few more cat and cow poses. just to even things out. Move at your own pace. And when you're ready, widen the knees out, sink the hips back towards the heels. Lower the forehead to the mat for child's pose. Give yourself some rest. Lift back up to tabletop. Cross the ankles behind you and sit behind the feet. We're going to lower down onto our backs here. Maybe grab your blanket if you plan on using it later. Make it accessible. Lowering down onto the back. Hug both knees in towards center. Maybe make some circles in one direction. Massage out the lower back. And circle in the other direction. Settle back in towards center. Keep hugging the right knee in towards the body and send the left leg out long. Flex through the left foot. And draw that right knee towards the body. Maybe even draw it out towards the armpit for a little bit more. Close your eyes and just breathe. Draw the left knee in and switch sides. Hugging the left knee in towards the body. Straighten the right leg out long on the mat. Keep active through that right leg. Flex through the right foot. And draw that left knee in, maybe out to the side towards the armpit. And enjoy the stretch. Whether this feels super intense or maybe not intense at all. Just notice. Doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong or right. It's all about what you experience. Giving your body some love. Draw the right knee in. One more big squeeze of the knees in towards the body. Rock side to side. One more hip stretch here before our Shavasana. We'll move towards happy baby pose. So you can either grab behind the knees and draw the knees in towards the armpits, or grab to the outsides of the feet, sending the soles of the feet up towards the sky. Draw the knees down towards the armpits. Lengthen through the spine. Keep the tailbone glued into the mat. You can rock side to side if that feels good. Maybe straighten through one leg, straighten through the other leg. Experiment a little bit with your happy baby. Or just stay still and enjoy the pose. Slowly let go of the feet. Hug the knees in one more time. Give them a big squeeze. And then send the legs out long on the mat. Reach both arms overhead. One big full body stretch from the fingertips all the way down to the toes. And let it go with a sigh. We're ready for our final resting pose of Shavasana. So I invite you to bring in as many props as feels good today. I've got a towel as a cushion for my head. That can feel nice. I've also got a bolster, which I like to use this by placing it under the knees. This just kind of takes some pressure off of the low back, because then my entire low back can stay flush with the floor. And it just takes out any tension if you have any lower back issues. This can be a great way to let that go. So take your time, get super comfortable here, take up as much space as you'd like, utilize as many props as you'd like, because you deserve rest. You deserve to take this moment to appreciate how far you've come, all the things you've accomplished. You are allowed to take this moment of rest for yourself. We'll stay here in Shavasana for a few moments of quiet contemplation. If you're feeling comfortable in your Shavasana and want to stay here for longer, I invite you to do so. Take as long as a Shavasana as you would like today for our theme of rest. Otherwise, slowly start to deepen the breath. Come back to the body. Come back to the present. Begin to wiggle through the fingers, wiggle through the toes. Moving slowly and mindfully through the limbs. Keeping that gentle, deep breath with you. Bend through both knees. Wiggle them side to side. Reach the arms up overhead. And keeping the eyes closed, just gently taking your time. Roll over onto your side. Into fetal pose, the pose of a rebirth. Every moment is a moment you can begin again, begin anew. Take a moment to thank your body for all the hard work it's done for you today, all the hard work it's done over the years, because your body deserves acknowledgement and appreciation for keeping you here, for keeping you alive, for keeping you safe. Keeping the eyes closed, slowly press up to a seat. Taking your time, meet me in a gentle seated position. Hands on knees or thighs. Sit up nice and tall. We'll end our class with one big communal breath. All together, maybe the biggest breath you've taken all week. So when you're ready, exhale all the air out of the system. Deep inhale all the way to the top. Sip in as much air as you can get. And exhale, sigh it out. Press the palms together at heart center. And bow forward, sealing your practice together in communion. Slowly lift the head and blink open the eyes. Thank you so much for joining me today for this gentle yoga. I hope you enjoyed that slow movement, and I hope you take this as a sign to slow down and take the day off. Take some rest today because you deserve it. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye, friends.